Hey besties, welcome back to this week's episode of your Manifesting Bestie podcast. I'm your host Flora and we are diving into all things mindset and manifestation like we always do. You guys know the vibes. I just came back from such a fun trip. I was in Mexico. Before Mexico, I was in Orlando, and before Orlando, I was in Puerto Rico. I have a bit of a break this week, which is nice to get settled back in home and have just a week off. My mom just came into town, which is always so nice. You guys know my mom lives in a different continent. My whole family lives in Hungary, so it's always nice to have some family at home. It feels nostalgic, it feels cozy, it feels warm. It's really, really nice to be back here in South Florida. If you guys hear a little bit of thunder, please excuse it. The weather is, always being bipolar. We have a hurricane that likes to hit every day around 2 p.m. You guys know, if you're from Florida, you know. But I am here to deliver another really great message to my ladies today. And this came from a topic from somebody very close to me who is battling autoimmune issues. And what autoimmune issues are basically the body's defense system attacking itself. So the immune system that's supposed to be protecting the body is actually turning on itself and attacking it. And autoimmune disorders are much higher in women than in men. And we were talking about this topic because she's going through this exact situation. And we were looking into autoimmune disorders overall. And why are they so popular? Why is the one thing that's supposed to be defending the body, protecting the body, turning inward and attacking itself? What is this internal attack that the body has? How come this is happening to mostly women, right? We want to look at common patterns, and I promise this is all going to tie into mindset and manifestation. So let's really dive into this topic, because if you know somebody battling something like this, maybe your mom, your grandmother, your aunt, your bestie, your cousin, somebody that you know at work, a lot of women are going through it. And it's unfortunate, but as always, there's a way to combat it. There's a way to improve the body, because the body is always seeking out balance and equilibrium. And even if you don't have an autoimmune disorder, I guarantee you will benefit so much from this episode. Because everything ties into the nervous system, right? Everything is nervous system related, somatic related, fascia related. I love talking about fascia lately, probably because I have my own issues with my fascia, areas in my body where I have so much tight adhesions, where my fascia has kind of it feels like stone. It feels like rock hard, and I need to work on it. But anyway, before I go on a tangent about fascia all over again, let's talk about why women are experiencing such an alarming rate of autoimmune disorders. You know how back in the day, they used to give women lobotomies when they expressed themselves? They used to burn them at the stake and call them witches. They really just hated women having their own opinions, following their passion, having their own level of intelligence, knowing things, having spiritual wisdom. Yeah, so as we know, women were always hated for these things. So over time, as decades and centuries went on, women were forced to suppress themselves, bite their tongue. Why is this so important, right? It sucks, yeah, why the hell did women have to go through this? Why are women still going through this? But what happens physically and spiritually when an individual who was created for divine expression is constantly living in suppression? What happens? The body begins to attack itself. Whether you want to call it an autoimmune disorder, we could even tie this into a lot of mental conditions, mental illnesses, mental struggles overall that people are having in today's day and age. But when we look at the immune system actually attacking itself rather than defending the body, it is due to this one main factor. It is due to a lineage of women living in a constant state of suppressing themselves. It's so funny how suppression and depression almost sound like the same exact word, right? So what happens to the body after years, decades, centuries, a whole lineage of centuries of self-suppression. What actually happens? The body turns on itself, and the individual who was created for divine self-expression, that is your job here as a human being, is divine self-expression, divine growth, which comes through self-expression, creative expression. You become ill. You become ill because the one thing your body is designed for, creative expression, is not happening. Okay, so you're living in a constant state of suppressing yourself, suppressing your voice, suppressing your needs, suppressing your creativity, suppressing your passions, suppressing the things that are on your heart. What is important to you? You bite your tongue. You hide. You curl up into a corner. You are silenced. Living in a patriarchal system, this is common. This is just what women go through. I think this is the first time in history where women can do this. Have a podcast, have an opinion, have a voice, own their own brand, create content, create art, create pieces of work where they are creatively expressing themselves, their thoughts, their voice, right? Your voice is the key component, I think, of this whole episode. We're going to talk about your voice and the frequency that it holds. Your voice has a healing code divinely created for you. This is so interesting. And the more that I learn about this topic, I'm like, holy shit. No wonder everyone's sick. No wonder is everyone problematic. No wonder everyone's living in anxiety and depression and unhappiness. Like, no wonder. Because we are designed as human beings from God, from the Creator, from Source, as creative beings. We are designed as these creative beings whose life purpose is here to creatively express themselves. So if you have an entire gender, women, who have for centuries been silenced, suppressed, dimmed, you're essentially cutting off your life source, your creative expression. You're cutting it all off to please the patriarchy, right? You become ill. You become sick. You develop all these disorders, all these problems, all these mental conditions, which is, again, is why they used to either drug women back in the day or give them lobotomies for these issues. And of course, science wasn't studying women's health. They're just now starting to do case studies on women's issues like endometriosis, other immune disorders, right? A bunch of different things, because now they identify us as human beings, which is hilarious. We are the divine creators. We bring life into this world. But anyway, I digress. So let's talk about the act of creative expression and the importance of your voice. You have a certain frequency in your voice. Have you guys ever heard of sound healing, sound baths? Okay, this is the art of healing the body through vibration. Every sound, every voice, every piece of music holds a certain frequency. Your voice specifically, not someone else's voice, not your parents' voice or your children's voice or your friend's voice, your voice specifically holds a healing code that was divinely created for your specific body. Think of how important that is in comparison to what we're talking about here, of the reason so many women are sick through the act of suppression, suppressing themselves. They're not using their voice. The healing code they were born with, they're not using it because they are in a constant state of self-suppression, creative suppression, voice suppression. Like that, when I was connecting all these dots in my research, I was like, holy shit. No wonder. It all makes so much sense. If the voice holds the healing code for that specific body, but that person never speaks up, cannot creatively express herself, cannot let out what is inside of her, right? She cannot get her message across. She's not using her voice in a creative way that she was designed for. The voice that heals her whole body, because sound frequencies heal. And if your voice is designed for your specific body to heal it from whatever issues it might have, whatever emotional distress it might be holding on to, then that person just becomes more and more ill. How fucking crazy. How crazy is that? And I've shared this situation that I've had my whole life, which is dealing with a blocked throat chakra. If you are a woman, this is not uncommon because we have it like in our bloodstream, in our DNA, to be silenced, to feel discomfort from speaking up, to feel so uncomfortable with self-expression, which is what you were designed for. You were designed to expand this universe through your own creative expression, whether that means launching new desires, creating art, creating music, sharing your message, sharing your voice, taking up space, being bold, singing, whatever it is, right? That is your creative expression, and it heals you. It heals you. You following your passion, you following your creative expression heals you. Isn't that so divine? Isn't that so beautiful? But we've been silenced for so long. We get choked up when we need to speak. We're told to be polite, be a little quieter. Don't be so assertive. Don't have so many opinions. Don't be so problematic. Don't be so combative. Why do you always have an opinion on something? Right? How many of us have been told this? Or our parents, our mom, our grandmother, our great-grandmother, they were told this, and it gets passed down. The silencing, the suppression, the illness, the inability to creatively express ourselves. So we shrivel up in fear. And then comes the illness. Whatever it is, whatever illness that the body is experiencing it doesn't necessarily matter what the name is. So we don't need to identify with an illness itself, like hypothyroidism or PCOS or we don't need to identify with these specific terms. All of it is the same thing. The body is in dis-ease. It's not at ease. It's not at emotional ease. How does the body return to ease? Well, number one, we use our voice to express ourselves, that sound frequency that comes out when we're singing, when we're happy, when we're joyful, when we are filming ourselves, our content, our podcast, our YouTube videos, right? Content creators are popping up everywhere now. We love creatively expressing ourselves. It's healing, it's fun, it's art for us, right? People who make music or write or dance, all of this is creative expression. But when it's taken away from the individual, illness creeps in. Not just depression, not just sadness, not just emptiness, but illness. Because it's not the way you were designed to live. It's not the divine blueprint that was left for you. We were never supposed to be silenced. We were never supposed to believe that we're not allowed to be bold. We weren't made to be submissive. I'm so tired of that word being passed around, in the feminine energy community. Be more submissive. Let the man lead. Okay, I'll let him lead if he knows the direction that he needs to go. A lot of them don't. So when you tell a woman to submit, to be more submissive, to be more quiet, right? What you're actually telling her is to silence her intuition. Silence her creative expression. That is not what women were designed for. Women were designed for leadership. Because we see the state of the world when men lead. Where has that gotten us? Oh, war. Oh, famine. Oh, sex trafficking. Right? Everywhere. Bombing countries. Starving children. Love it. No. This is why men are not supposed to be in leadership roles. They're the soldiers, the manpower. Women were designed to be leaders because we lead with heart, with intuitive guidance, with spiritual wisdom. We use our creative expression for expansion, for growth, for creation, for goodness. So the more the woman is silenced, the less she can heal, because her voice holds the code for her healing. If you ever feel like you are a little bit off, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling lost, you need to open up your throat chakra. I want you to sing. I want you to laugh, cry, even scream. You need to let out your expressions that you have been suppressing. Your entire nervous system is designed to heal from this. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that phenomenal? Isn't that magical? To me, that sounds like magic. That is so magical that my own voice can heal me from me creatively expressing myself. That's how I was designed. Tell me that is not divine and godly and incredible. Like, the blueprint is inside of us and we keep seeking everything externally. Why? Brainwashing. When you take someone's power away, you tell them to seek power outside of them. that person will always remain weak, always remain ill, always remain lost. They don't know their truth. They don't know the code that is in their own DNA. They don't know the divine lives deep inside of them, within them. Isn't that crazy? Guys, when I started piecing these puzzles together in my mind, I'm just like, this is so crazy. This information needs to be like screamed from the rooftops. Like, it's so incredible how we were designed. We're these intricate pieces of divine technology that cannot be replicated. AI cannot take over this, cannot duplicate it. No. You're not duplicatable, okay? The codes that live within you are unique to yourself. And since I'm such a big promoter, I'm so crazy about nervous system regulation. I think it is the foundation of manifesting your dream life, because when you create safety around the desires, right? Safety around the unseen and the unknown that you want to hold your faith in, that you want to attract. When you create safety in the body and you create heart and mind coherence and resonance within the body, you can manifest anything. And your voice that you use for creative expression is exactly what heals the nervous system. It regulates you. And then I pieced it together in my life. I was like, wait a minute. I had a blocked throat chakra my whole life. Couldn't speak up for myself. I was always shy. I was always scared. I would hide behind my older sister no matter where I would hide. I don't like to talk to people. I was never social. Unless I had like 5 drinks in me, then maybe I can talk. But just like sober-minded, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. And my life, my career now is using my voice. It healed me just to speak, just to express myself, express what's on my mind, express the things that are important to me, pour it into divine creative expression, meaning following the things you're passionate about, which requires you to express rather than suppress. And if more women can express themselves, it doesn't have to be this, it doesn't have to be the way I'm doing it, but in any way that you can find creative expression, you are regulating your nervous system, you're healing your entire lineage, you're bringing your body back into equilibrium, right back into a regulated, calm state, taking it out of that chronic fight or flight mode. And a lot of you are gonna make a ton of money doing this if you're following your passion. It's almost like all the codes that we are seeking for externally live inside of us, because we're magic, we're magical. This is how we were created, on purpose. You were designed this way on purpose. So when we are ill, when we are sad, when we are depressed, we're just living out of alignment of our true nature. And we have such a high tolerance for misalignment. Why? Why are we so tolerant of an unaligned life? A sadder life, a difficult life, unhealthy life. Why? It's just because we've been conditioned to believe that that's really what we deserve. But when you realize the truth and you start looking at all these things that connect from an aerial bird's eye view, you're like, whoa, I'm way more powerful than I realized. Way more. I was gifted with so much power, so much creativity. All of it is deeply embedded and encoded in my DNA. And all I had to do was open my mouth finally, express myself, use my words, speak up for myself. You hold so much power in the tongue, it's crazy. Not only does it manifest your reality, but it regulates your nervous system, it heals the illness in the body, it leads you on the path to abundance, all of it in one. The power of the tongue is so real. It holds the frequency to your healing. It holds the magic, the secret codes, the ones that we search for everywhere but inside of ourselves. And you know, there's a lot of hidden messages in Disney movies, right? For a lot of things that happen in the world. Look at all the older movies with Disney princesses. What did they all do to ignite magic? They would sing. They would sing. With the forest animals, with the birds. They would sing around their house. The house just got tidy and clean and magical. They would sing. They were using their divine creative expression to literally create magic. Like, how sick is that? It's like all the information is literally right in front of us. We just so conveniently forgot our own truth. And we got so comfortable with biting our tongue that it made us ill. It made women sick. You're not here to suppress yourself. You're not here to be silent. You're not here to be small. You're not here to be lesser than what you were divinely created to be. And if you can ignite this fire, ignite the power, and really hone in on your own creative expression, you've just unlocked the pathway to your abundance, to your healing, to your manifestation, to your desires, to your body becoming back in balance and eliminating dis-ease and emotional dysregulation. So if you are feeling a bit lost, if you are battling with maybe a chronic illness, if you are feeling like you have been silencing yourself, silencing your needs, you don't speak up for yourself, you let people walk all over you, I want you to open up that throat chakra and just start to unleash it. If you need to sing, sing it out. If you need to scream, scream it out. There is such thing called scream therapy. People will scream in their room or scream into a pillow to let it all out, because the body cannot hold on to so much suppression, so much emotional distress. It starts to break down chemically. It starts to become ill. You don't want that to happen to you. I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to start singing like a freaking canary, okay? Start singing like a bird. Whether you're angry, whether you're happy, whether you're excited, whether you're sad, doesn't matter. It needs to come out. So it's no wonder that women overall today have such high rates of these autoimmune illnesses, have such high rates of their own immune defense turning on itself. Because that woman is not living in her true nature that she was designed to live in, that God left a blueprint for. She's supposed to be living in her divine creative expression all the time, singing like the bird all the time, letting it all out, letting it flow, expressing what needs to come out rather than suppressing. Okay, always choose self-expression over self-suppression, always. Even if you think your mouth is gonna get you in trouble, do it in a smart way, but express what needs to come out. You are saving your entire lineage of more illnesses. And you are going to be the person who refuses to silence herself, who refuses to dim her light, who refuses to shrink herself and put herself back into a freaking cage. That's not you. That's not you anymore. You are literally cutting that cord right now. And when I tell you guys that this isn't even for just autoimmune disorders, this has to do with weight issues too. The individual who carries excess weight, if you've had weight issues or hormonal imbalances, definitely listen to this message. The person who continues to put on excess weight over the years, the body is just trying to protect itself. So the body looks at the emotions internally and says, we are not safe, because we're always in a state of conscious suppression. Okay, we're always hiding ourselves. We're diminishing ourselves. We're minimizing ourselves. So the body says, okay, we're not safe. I need to put on some more padding. I need to create more safety, some more cushion. So it holds on to excess unwanted weight. And then the cycle becomes more vicious, because then that person hides themselves more and hides themselves more, right? And maybe your parents said something mean to you about your weight when you were younger, and the switch kicked in where you're like, okay, I need to hide. I need to put on more cushion, more padding. So it becomes this vicious cycle of putting on more weight, putting on more weight, putting on more weight, when really the body's just seeking out some type of safety. And safety comes from the healing frequency, from the healing code of your voice. So what can we do about this? We need to look at the different areas of our life and ask ourselves, where am I still suppressing who I am? Is it in my relationship? Am I not able to be myself? Does the person I'm married to, or the person I'm dating, or the person I'm sleeping next to, do they make me feel like it's not safe to be who I truly am? That's one area to look at. Another area where we lack safety sometimes is even in our own friendship circles. Do you hang around people where you don't feel safe expressing yourself to? You don't feel safe showing up as who you are. You feel like you have to pretend to be someone else, so you bite your authenticity off. So check that area. Another very common place we tend to do this in is in our own family, with our parents, with our grandparents. We feel ashamed of who we are. We feel ashamed of our true nature. We cannot be ourselves in front of them. Stop it. Stop hiding who you are. You cannot keep biting your tongue just to please everybody in your family. You can't do it. You can't keep doing that to yourself. You need to be the one who decides enough is enough. You have to cut that behavior out. And whoever doesn't like it, doesn't like it. Guess what? You will survive, but at least you stop the self-suppression. Okay? Another place that this can happen is your career. Are you working a job you hate? There's no creative expression in the job. Are you working a business that you hate? A business you're not aligned with? You cannot show up in your business as your authentic self. You need to rethink that business. Because again, abundance lies in your authenticity, in your authentic voice, in your creative expression, and who you truly are. That's where the money is. So check that area too. Am I doing work that is aligned with who I am to my core? That is aligned to my own divine nature? And if not, you're allowed to pivot. If you answered no to any of these questions, you're allowed to pivot and save yourself. You're allowed to stop being a people pleaser and rescue yourself and pull yourself out of situations that are not aligned with your own greater good. Okay, so let's do this as our homework today and really take inventory, like I always say, of these different areas of our lives, of our relationships, of the way that we show up for others, the way that we show up for ourselves, most importantly, our career choices, all of it. Where am I suppressing myself, and how can I express myself to combat it? How can I do the opposite of what self-suppression is? What can I do? What action steps can I take to be more connected with my divine state? Because that's where the healing is. That's where the love is. That's where the abundance is. That's where all the goodness, it starts with your creative expression. You not biting your tongue. You not hiding yourself. Your willingness to just exist and feel safe doing so. I hope this episode was so helpful for you guys. In my mind, it was like all these different dots I've been connecting, and I'm like, wow, this can help somebody on their journey so well. Or you can share it with someone that you believe it would help on their own journey of whatever it is that they might be experiencing in their lives. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one to help you find your own authentic voice, to help you with your nervous system regulation, to help you with your subconscious reprogramming, I have my link below for my membership, as well as the Manifesting Millions Blueprint, where you can start your own journey to healing and finding your own authentic voice. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of your Manifesting Bestie podcast. And we will be back again next Wednesday with a brand new episode.